I was listening, I think you're talking to Sky just a moment ago, the last caller.
Yeah.
And you said to him, like, that it's our job to, seek something better, in the sense that the human being became programmed this way now, that we're constantly trying to get something better, get something better, something better, fix it, get it, do it. What did I do? How can I? And it's like a chronic condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're trying to Bradley, you're saying how, like, when we disappear, I don't know what when something that I think is me disappears, that's, so, of course, the question is, these two things, of course, the person, me, is going to try to disappear, which is impossible.
Yeah, and it doesn't really want to disappear. It does in one way. It wants to not be looking for something better, but in another way, it still wants to experience its own absence.
Right.
It still wants to experience it. In one way, it doesn't want to be suffering anymore, so it doesn't want to be looking for something better. But it also, I mean, imagine this without anyone experiencing it. Like, the absence of that one that feels like they've got a life. We think of it, the separate person thinks of it as blissful, because often side effect of bliss happens. And thinks of it as all these positive things that it gets to experience. It's like, imagine being with Solange but having no idea that you're with her. There is simply what is. Like, when you were a kid and you were playing with your best friend, but you had no idea you were playing with her. It was just simply happening. Running, laughing, talking.
In that case, there's no enjoyer. Right? There's just the enjoyment is existing, but no enjoyer, so to speak.
Yeah. Come on, CT.
I feel it, like she's lucky because she doesn't know. She doesn't know anything.
No. She just sits in the room and farts. Everyone laughs at her and she's like
and panting when she's out of breath and thirsty. Sleeps.
Yeah.
So she doesn't get to be the enjoyer, does she?
No. There is simply whatever is appearing. But the same for the negative as well. Well, she has no idea that she's scared or happy, or there is just simply that happening.
So the imaginary Isabel, imaginary, when I say imaginary, I mean all the accumulation of what I imagine I was or that I want to be, or even that what I am.
Yeah.
It's like takes me to that experience. It seems like I want to say a lack of freedom.
There's a lack of freedom when?
Because I believe there's this person, me. I believe that I'm this person that is alive and that has to do stuff and has to, try.
Yeah.
And try for and try against.
Yeah.
and even trying to understand how to stop trying. You know, they talk about, sometimes you hear like, well, you're in the ocean and you're saying, I want to be wet, or, you know, something like this, right?
Yeah.
But, or your eyeballs can't see themselves, or all these little pointers. And yet, you know, I reach out to you, and I don't know, Lisa.
So at this moment, there's suffering happening, Isabel, and it's totally nonsensical, and it's unfair. It's not fair or not fair, but it's not like you did something wrong or you did something right for that to happen. It's just simply happening. And the base feeling of that suffering is, I'm not enough. There is something wrong with me. In some way, I've lost something, and it's my fault in some way. I think that's why religion has so much about guilt in it, and the original sin, because you feel guilty in a way for having lost something, and confused and alone.
Yeah.
And all these thoughts come up, maybe like surface thoughts of what the problem is. We might even be using non-duality of I've not got there, or whatever it's using, or the girlfriend, or the parent, or the money, whatever it decides to use. And then it retells the stories of what the problem is, because it feels, the separate self, that if it can understand it in a storyline, then it can be safer. But there's no safety in that storyline. It's that storyline which creates unsafety.
Yeah.
But until that cloud of suffering passes, that's all that's going to be seen, because the beingness or aliveness and that story have become one and the same thing. So it feels like who you are is that person that's uncomfortable and suffering. And until that cloud passes, which it will, and Isabel can do anything she likes, she can do, well, she can't do anything she likes, whatever happens, but there could be meditation, there could be eating loads of chocolate, there could be laying in bed for days, there could be taking Valium, whatever it is, and none will stop the suffering. The suffering will stop when it stops. The contraction of self. Some of these things might make things feel slightly better, and some might make it feel slightly worse, but the suffering is there until it's there, and the person can't get itself out of it. Which in one way is quite a relief. The cloud will pass when the cloud passes. Like we don't look at the rain and we don't imagine that we could make the rain cloud change. What suffering if we thought we could get rid of the cloud, if we breathed hard enough, if we puffed enough, if we went, it would blow away, and then we're sitting there in agony having puffed so much, and the idea that we've failed in some way. But the cloud passes when it passes. There's never been a you that's in control of its life and doing its life. The you is like the wind, like everything else. It's a happening. And who you truly are is beingness, which is everything and nothing, which is totally empty and full simultaneously. It's totally still and moving. And who's hearing these words isn't the character, isn't the one that feels like it's not enough. Who truly hears this is beingness. It's everything. Couldn't be anything else that hears it. It's the sound and the hearing. It's the vision and the sight. It's all of it. It's the consciousness, aware of anything. And beingness is so still and empty and boundless, and so full at the same time. And I can't talk you into this intellectually, but there can be a sense of this. Sorry, Tibetan bells, yeah.
It's like you're, when we're in conversation, it's like my total wildness, it gets sort of taken.
Somebody just wrote, Isabel, show some magic.
You are! across time and across space to calm me down. I don't see you though in the chair.
No. We can talk after if you like.
It's so interesting. Your picture in the Ustream is empty.
Huh?
The chair in the Ustream video is empty.
Oh yeah? Did you press pause on it?
No.
Hmm. Well, I went to the toilet a while back.
Oh, there you are. I don't see you though in the chair. Oh, see you there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk after if you like.
Cool. Yeah. It's so interesting. Your picture in the Ustream is empty.
Huh?
The chair in the Ustream video is empty.
Did you press pause on?
Okay.
That's a mind trip, right?
You'd think we'd get it right by now.
It's so funny because you've been sitting there looking at me on pause with an empty chair, right?
I know, well, you talk about disappearing.
You're like, that's interesting. She's not there.
It's just like you said. Okay, yeah, I'll step off and give other people a chance.
Okay.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love
Bye.
you, sweetie. Bye.